Hey everybody. So yesterday I got the shapes working and all that so that you could change shapes. And the dimensions actually more like these guys down here. The radiuses, so you could do that. But then I had realized that I had forgotten to ever get the filters working. So lights had filters working, but meshes did not. And these are extremely helpful because see how I have like 9 meshes and I want to work on them, and I named them carefully. I could just say, "Oh, I want to work on the top meshes," and see now all I have is my 3 top meshes, and it sort of narrows it down. And then I could see, "Oh, this is my top left, top middle, top right," and then I could say, "Oh, okay, I want to change all my top meshes into cubes." So I could just go right down here and then go to the next one, and then finally go to the last one. And boom, now I have 3 cubes where I had 3 meshes, and it was easy, or 3 spheres, and it was easy to find all the ones that I cared about because of the naming convention that I used, which is really helpful when I'm building these things out for, I mean, I don't have a, just for fun. But anyways, yeah, so that's cool. And it really didn't take much work. And the big reason it didn't take much work is because a lot of the work was done for lights when I implemented that. I built a custom component for the under my common components for the table filter. So basically, there was already a table filter common component, so all I had to do was import it and use it and just tweak the CSS a little bit. Um, so yeah, so here's my common component that I just used. It's called table filter. Um, and then in order to actually get the filters working, and this is just like gotten to be very rote for me, like where I just do it every time. But basically, I just changed the filter source from a, let's see, yeah, from mesh list to the filtered mesh list. So that's what I always do. I just take the name, whatever I had, and add filtered in front of it. Take whatever the first letter was and make it capital. Um, and that's it. That's all I need to do in the template itself. And then in here, I had to import in my TypeScript. I had to import my table filter, and then I filter component. That's all. And then I created a new list array called filtered mesh list, and I added created a component attribute called filtered value. I learned that word going through the tour heroes. I kind of want to do a quick run through of that, and I noticed they were calling these things component attributes, which is a perfect name. Um, anyways, basically this was lifted straight from the lights implementation, where I just say, hey, if there's a filtered value when I get the data from the service, then go ahead and if there isn't one, then make the filtered mesh list the mesh list. Otherwise, search for it. Um, do a filter the mesh list to create a new array called filtered mesh list. And then over here, basically anytime the event, let's see. So when we added this, one of the things we did was the update filtered value, update the matte filter component. It has an event called filter value, and I tie that event to the update filter. And so in the update filter, let's see, that's the last thing in here. In the update filter, we take that event, we make it for we we assign it to the component attribute called filter value, so that if new data comes in, the new data is applied, and I mean the filter is applied to the new data in order to create the new mesh, the filtered mesh list. And after we do that, for the existing data, we just execute. We just execute the filter. I mentioned last time it probably makes sense to take this into its own little function and then just call it. Um, because it's uh, pretty clean little function, and it is identical to this guy up here um, for this. So I could just assign the filter value, or I could just call it, and it would reapply it to the data. I don't think I think that that level of abstraction is not quite worth it at the size we're at right now. But it's no big deal. I think it's a real boundary condition sort of thing. It might be worth doing in the future, especially if we start getting more logic in here. But as it is now, I mean, it's one line of code really. Um, I mean, I have it separated across 5 lines, but it truly is just one line of code. Um, and you know, making a making a function just for one line of code to be called twice is it's a good argument. If I put it in a PR and somebody said, "Can you combine these?" I would do it in a second. I wouldn't even push back because it would be not because it's just an opinion at this point. Um, what else was I say? Oh, okay. So in the styles, um, oh man, we're 6:30. I forgot to put the little timer up. Um, so in the styles, I added I had this weird little stray selector up in here, so I got rid of that, and then I added this, which this was this app these rules for the app table filter component, and um, these two rules are directly copied over from the lights implementation, but I had to add these two because for some reason this wasn't lining up. Now, if I spent like 2 or 3 hours, I think I could probably figure out okay exactly why that's not lining up. Like I'll show you what's happening. So when I see how this little line is just a little bit over this there, and then but if we go over here, it lines up perfectly. And there's just some I don't know. There's some weird CSS that's causing this issue to happen for this guy that's not for that guy, and like so this solves the problem. It looks fine when we have this. So we just set the app filter to position to relative so that we can move it, and then we tell it the top of it is 0.5, which it has an effect of pushing it down to 5 pixels, not 0.5 but 5 pixels. That is truly effective. In my long years of experience, I've never seen this making a small change, this sort of thing ever sort of becoming a bigger problem. Like sometimes you make some sort of CSS change, tweak just to make things work, and then like as the worm turns, all of a sudden like you've got big problems where you didn't have big problems. I have never seen that in this instance where you have a component and you're just sliding it around a little bit to fit into a place. Um, if Sometimes I work at places where they pay hourly and they're kind of like um, real sticklers, like they're OCD or whatever. They just can't deal with this kind of thing and they want to know, okay, what is the issue? And a lot of times you spend 2 or 3 hours, you figure out what the issue is, and then you still have to do something like this to make it work. Um, but like if a place is paying hourly and they want you to spend 2 or 3 hours figuring out something like this, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely a good. It's usually a learning experience, but for this project, I just don't see it being worthwhile. Um, Anyways, I am at 9:20 right now. I forgot to put the timer on, so I'm gonna call it. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.